Well, you're live.
Okay, we are live. This is the second part of Timelines of Success, the podcast, I guess you would call it. And we decided to go up so you can see both of us. We've got Darren Drake out of Cuba, Missouri, and myself, Bill Conrad, out of Reno, Nevada. We just finished up producing a podcast. So, Darren, about another five minutes onto the show. We're going to put this at the bottom of the webpage for those that want to see us. I enjoyed doing the interview with you. A lot of information. We really didn't get into what you do as a pastor and how you evolved to being a pastor.
Well, I'll tell that story. I grew up in a church family. My dad was a minister, and I've always felt called into the ministry, but I've always been one of those guys that kind of avoided it, I guess, because I'm not sure why, but about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that, I finally submitted to the call that I felt God had on my life to be in the ministry, and started down that journey. I went to school and completed my schooling, my education, and in our denomination, it's not an issue of just they pick somebody out and say you're ordained. You have to study to show yourself approved, and I went down that line. I've been ordained now for about 5 years, and I do everything that what your pastor at your church would do, but I'm considered the associate. I'm not the full-time pastor, but I just help my pastor, and I teach and take care of services. I evangelize at other churches and do hospital visits, nursing homes, and do everything that your pastor does. I'm just the helper.
You have a lot of choices right now because of decisions you've made in the past, from sticking with, being a deputy sheriff for 20 years, still working in the coroner's office, and then learning all these other skills and going into ministry. What do you think lies ahead of you in the next 5 years? Do you have any one direction you want to go or an area you want to explore more?
I guess the two things are just what I'm doing, now. I want to continue with the coroner's office. I enjoy death investigation. As odd as that may sound, I do enjoy it because I enjoy getting the answers for the families, and I enjoy the work, and I enjoy ministry. So, I tie both of those into my podcasts as well, and so I see myself in 5 years doing exactly what I'm doing now. Now, I'm hoping there's some more monetization comes through. I'm hoping it pays some, its own expenses a little bit more. I didn't start them for the money. Actually, both podcasts I started training actually as training sites to help people. But hey, if money comes through later on and I can help pay some of his expenses, great. But I think I'll be doing what I'm doing now in 5 years, and that's not saying that I'm not goal oriented and I'm moving forward. It's just that what I'm doing now I want to improve upon.
Now, very good. I know it is, the world is changing so fast with the technology. Who knows what we're going to have in front of us in 5 years?
Yeah, yeah. We'll be podcasting from, Hey, speaking of which, I know it's a little off topic, and it's called the Cube, and I seen it the other day on a tech podcast or a tech show. It's a full computer that's 2 inches by 2 inches, and it's got many USB ports and I think one regular USB port. I forget how big it is, but basically you can carry this, put a wireless keyboard and mouse on it, and plug in a small monitor, and you've got a full desktop computer anywhere you go. It's a 2 inch by 2 inch cube.
Well, I was looking yesterday. I have a friend up in Washington State, and I was looking at his system, and he's using Chrome, Chromebox, a small Chromebox, just for developing the quality of the Google Plus Hangout, just committed to communication systems and getting everything else off of it. And he's having some very good luck. It's almost like he's able to broadcast in fairly high definition. And I'll look at that, but one step at a time. One thing is you've got to learn your technology. You just can't constantly go and buy new stuff. You've got to figure out what you need to learn. You've done a great job, by the way. You're more or less self-taught in the podcasting community, which is difficult to do.
It is because there are so many options out there. I mean, I've YouTube. I've watched a lot of YouTube, and I'll give Cliff Ravenscraft credit. He has his podcasting A to Z course. I didn't pay for that. I took his free course on YouTube. And of course, I listen to a lot of how-tos on podcasts, and I've read a lot, and I did kind of self-taught, ask a lot of questions, And you mentioned broadcasting. My next goal in podcasting is to open up one or both of my shows to be able to broadcast live. I mean, it'll still be a podcast. It'll still be released weekly as far as the audio, but I would like to be able to take call-ins,
Right.
And have an audience interaction, and someday I'll do that.
Well, from Cuba, Missouri, you're down really in a small town of 3,000 plus, you're really lucky to get the bandwidth that you have. And you're operating right now under AT&T, what, 4 to 10
Yeah,
meg?
actually it's CenturyLink, and it's
Oh, Central. Okay.
about 4 meg. I
Wow.
could get 10 if I lived a mile further down the road, I could get 10 meg. Where I live, I'm at 4 meg.
Well, you're getting a lot of that 4 meg because I've got like from 30 to 60 where I live, and it's going to go even better. Reno was designated as one of the cities that will get the Google Fiber, and it's starting to come into some businesses now.
I've heard about that. I got somebody I listen to the podcast I listen to out of New York, and he was talking about the Google Fiber thing.
Yeah. I worked in Afghanistan doing redevelopment, provincial reconstruction teams. And one of the things that we're doing is they all use cell phones. They don't use traditional communication systems. But we're really working at getting fiber in place deep and communication systems between villages. Because if we felt that we could pull people together, they could get along better. So interesting as it's evolving. I have communities, our small towns are going that same direction. It's allowing people, instead of having to live in the big cities, to move out into the smaller towns where the quality of life may be considered to be better. So, but you've kept that quality your whole time. You've worked those jobs in your town that you could stay in that town.
Right. Yes.
So I really appreciate your time today. Anything else? What I'd like to do before we close, we're going to do a little experiment here. I've got another camera, 930 up here. I'm going to go and see if I can't put that 930 up so we can look through it, which it's kind of crazy. What did we do yesterday?
Now,
Believe it or not, I've got a 930 back here to hook it up.
Camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to go on to, this is really crazy. I had to open up Gmail. We're on Google Plus, but I don't think there's any easy way.
If you move your cursor to the top of your screen where you see me, move your cursor up, and you should have a little black box that comes up there that says microphone. You'll have a picture of a microphone, a camera, bandwidth. Yep. If you click on your camera,
settings,
you should be able to have a drop down. Wait a minute. No. That turns it off. Go to the gear that says settings.
Oops. Yeah, I was on settings.
And then you should be able to then change which camera you want.
No, I know it, but to do that, I first have to go and, believe it or not, on this 930C, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and I had some pretty high-end guys helping me out researching this. I've got to go up, and we're going to do this little demonstration for those who have a 930C. I'm going to go up into my Gmail. This is crazy, but in Gmail, you got to turn on your little text box, whatever it is in Gmail, and then I have to go into where is it? Cameras.
That's odd because I just switched between cameras and all I did was go to settings on my Google Hangout.
No, but in I only have one camera there, so I have to go into. There it goes. Wait a second. Are you there?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on here? You're already in them. Okay. I just had a bunch of stuff open up.
No, it looks good, and now the little HD symbol came up on the screen.
Okay, so what's going on right now, though? Let me try this. Now I'm totally blocked out. So I don't have the ability on the settings. I only show one camera right now. What we had to do yesterday, it was very painful. I had to go into, goodness, let's see, it's opening a bunch of.
Here's something now I might suggest for later. You can get a USB splitter where you have one male and two female, and if both of your cameras are USBs, you can plug them in, and your computer should read both cameras.
Well, I have the iMac right now.
Yeah, and that's what I'm on. When we first started this Google Hangout, I didn't realize it, but I was on my built-in FaceTime camera. Well, while you were just talking about switching, I looked up top of my screen and seen that I was on that, so I went over and switched over to my C920, and I just switched flawlessly. But I think you can have both cameras plugged in at the same time. Well, I know you can because I've done that with my co-host. I've got a splitter, and I can go between cameras.
Nicholas, interesting. Nick Loper. It's really strange. It does not allow me. I remember I had to go into the chat. Oops, down here, I had to open it up. There it goes, maybe. That's funny. I can't do it today. I did it yesterday. And we had to go into chat, which is right there. Somehow I had to open up. I just can't do it now. I forgot. It's funny. Did it yesterday. It says change pictures. If I go to change pictures, it says upload a picture. I don't want to do that. and the camera is like red right now. So it's a strange thing. I guess I won't be able to do it today. We did it the other day. I'll have to relook how we did that.
Yeah. And there's always more than one way to do something. That's the other thing. Is it, just because you learned it one way, you'll probably learn it another way a second time.
Yeah, there's not much out there in 930C. Be interesting to see how our pictures look. Well, I do appreciate. Have you eat? I take it you've already eaten dinner.
I have.
What time is it there?
Here is I'm sorry, 1930 because I go
19.
by military, but it's 7:30.
Yeah, we're
7:38.
1738, 538 right now.
It's 1938 here, and that's what's funny is I still my entire life since I've been 18 in the military, I go by military time. My cars, my watches, my computers, and people that don't know military time have a hard time with it. But to me, it's second nature.
It's
I
so much easier. Yeah, it's not hard once you're used to it.
when someone says, "Could you spell that?" I don't say Apple boy. I say Adam Bravo Charlie Delta X. Like what? I'm like, so sometimes I get my police phonetics mixed up with my military phonetics, but
Yeah,
I don't. When you learn it, you just use it.
it's funny how people make up new phonetic codes too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you learn it. Well, it's been a wonderful show. I look forward to listening to your show some more. And first of all, before we close, tell us your two shows.
Okay, two shows. First one, Engaging Life and Leadership, both iTunes, Stitcher, all the podcast directories, same website. And the second show is Coroner Talk. Again, same website, coronertalk.com. Can be found in iTunes, Stitcher, and all the podcast directories.
And very good. And you're going to the not New Media Expo, but you're going to the podcast meetup. Is that it?
Podcast movement.
Movement in Texas, Dallas, Texas.
Actually, yeah, in a week and a half, I guess, in Dallas, 15th and 16th of August, and I'll be speaking on the co-hosted podcasting track.
Very good. Have you been to New Media Expo?
I have not.
Yeah, try to make it. Las Vegas isn't that expensive. You get to Missouri to fly out.
No, I've been there a couple of times for some conferences.
Yeah, hope to see you next year. I try to go to maybe next year I'll go to both, but we'll have to see. Well, thank you. Have a good night. I appreciate it.
All right, Bill. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.